Starting with number 5, we have Canon Films' version of Spider-Man. Spider-Man is gearing up for his third debut in Captain America: Civil War, and we've all known Spider-Man to be lovable Peter Parker, who was bitten by a radioactive spider, turning him into the hero we know today. But what if that didn't happen? In 1985, Canon Films bought Spider-Man from Marvel Comics for a mere $225,000 with little to no knowledge of the character. Canon was moving forward with a Wolfman-like approach to Peter Parker, almost making Spider-Man a monster movie. The story went as follows. When a scientist douses Peter Parker with radioactive material, he transforms into a hairy, 8-armed spider with suicidal tendencies. The movie was going to be directed by Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2's Tobe Hooper and written by Leslie Stevens, who also wrote The Outer Limits. Thank God this never happened, and the rights to the character went back to Marvel 5 years after being purchased. Let's hope this new Spider-Man won't be an 8-legged monster. Number 4, Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman. Back in 2007, Avengers director Joss Whedon was commissioned by Warner Brothers to pen a Wonder Woman script. His vision, told by Whedon, goes as follows. Wonder Woman was a little bit like Angelina Jolie. She sort of traveled the world, she was very powerful and very naive about people, and the fact that she was a goddess was how I eventually found my way into her humanity and vulnerability. Because she would look at us and the way that we kill each other and the way we let people starve and the way the world is run, and she'd just be like, none of this makes sense to me. I can't cope with it. I can't understand. People are insane. And ultimately, her romance with Steve Trevor was about him getting her to see what it's like to not be a goddess. What it's like when you're weak, when you do have all these forces controlling you, and when there's nothing you can do about it. That was sort of the central concept of the thing. Him teaching her humanity and her saying, okay, great, but we can still do better. Whedon had the script turned down by Warner Brothers, and Whedon went on to direct Marvel's The Avengers. Before being turned down, he was able to put a few pictures up of his concept art and even a teaser poster for the film that never was meant to be. Bet Warner Brothers wish they had stuck with him at this point. Number 3, Peyton Reed's Fantastic Four. Needless to say, Fantastic Four has never had a good run on the silver screen in its attempts to reboot itself, latest example being Josh Trank's Fantastic Four. However, back in the early 2000s, Ant-Man director Peyton Reed was set to direct a Fantastic Four movie that would have starred How I Met Your Mother's Alex Denisof as Reed Richards, Charlize Theron as Sue Storm, John C. Reilly as The Thing, and the late Paul Walker as Johnny Storm. The film was set to take inspiration from the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night. Peyton equated his Fantastic Four film that never was as being as good as Joss Whedon's The Avengers, but unfortunately Fox Studios moved forward with making Tim Story's Fantastic Four in 2005. Shame we still haven't seen a good Fantastic Four movie yet. Number 2, Darren Aronofsky's Batman Year One. After the gut check Warner Brothers received after Batman and Robin, the studio decided to reboot the franchise, but through the process many ideas were bounced around about where to take The Dark Knight. One of these film projects that never was made was Darren Aronofsky's loose interpretation of Batman Year One by Frank Miller. Miller was set to write the film, but it ultimately was canceled due to conflicts with the source material and their overall vision. Aronofsky stated that the film was somewhat based on the comic book, but he tossed out everything, and you could only imagine a new Batman. Everything. They were starting completely new. Some of his new vision included Bruce Wayne becoming homeless after his parents being gunned down, Alfred being changed into an African-American man, referred to as Little Al, who runs an auto repair shop and acts as Bruce's mentor. Selena Kyle would also have been African-American, and Commissioner Gordon would have been suicidal. The Batmobile would have also been a Lincoln Continental. Needless to say, this would have been one of the most interesting takes on the Batman during that time. However, the studio chose to go with Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. Number 1, George Miller's Justice League Mortal. In 2007, George Miller was set to direct a Justice League film titled Justice League Mortal, with a massive $250 million budget attached to it. Not only was the film incredibly loyal to the source material, but it was also the closest thing to a live-action Justice League Unlimited movie we would ever get to see. The script is currently online, and you can find a link to it in the description below. The cast consisted of Adam Brody as the Flash, Armie Hammer as Batman, Common as Green Lantern, DJ Catrona as Superman, Megan Gale as Wonder Woman, Hugh Keys-Byrne as Martian Manhunter, Santiago Cabrera as Aquaman. The production was ready to start filming when a series of events, including the writer's strike, halted the production. Another reason could be that Warner Brothers didn't want to have both Miller's Superman and Batman exist during the same time as Brad and Ralph's Superman and Christian Bale's Batman, just before The Dark Knight was starting its promotional campaign. There are rumors that Miller could be directing the next Man of Steel sequel, but I think they should let him do every DC movie from the years to come now. Well, that's it, everybody. That is our 5 superhero movies that almost got made. Tell me what you think about it. Leave your comments down below.